Is he still a superstar? Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome into Timeline T. I am your host, the Sam D, aka Sam Dume Jr. Feels like we finally have come to a resolution. No more heat culture. No more is Jimmy a superstar. No more is Spoelstra top 5 dead or alive. None of that. We have a man who some are jumping out the window is saying is the best player in the world, and he hates his job. Shout out to Nikola Jokic. Nothing more humanizing than someone being at the top of their profession, but still having the balls of saying, I don't like it here. I want to just be home. I want to be at the crib. I want to be with my lady. I want to be with my baby and kick it. I want to be with my bros, some brews, and keep it popping. Nikola Jokic is one of us. Oh, in Denver, you have New York to thank for your championship. You heard that correct. Colorado, the city of Denver, they have New York to thank for their championship last night. I don't really get into my New York bias bag too tough in my commentary and my analysis, but there is no question that New York planted the seeds for what you witnessed last night. We'll get there. Well, now that the playoffs are over, we're waiting on a few things. We're waiting on Adam Silver to bring the hammer down on Ja Morant. Nothing on that yet. But we're also getting geared up for who has the best fake trades and fake free agent interests on the timeline. I got a bunch of them today. It is a litany. As soon as, the Joker held up the Finals MVP, the drafts were locked and loaded. All types of fake trades, fake scenarios, propaganda, all of that will be here. I got the stuff that's the most interesting of the trade T, as I always do, locked and loaded into tabs. Thomas in the house, pulling up was good. Thomas. Oh man, NBA season's over, bruh. NBA season is over, bro. Now we got the draft first. Draft is next week. We used to have that little break in between the finals and the draft. No. Finals over 1 week. We got to keep the NBA at the top of mind. Let's get the draft right after that. Then the week after that, free agency. Bang, bang, bang. It's happening. So after we get into some NBA free agency fake stuff, innuendo, Stephon Diggs not reporting to a mandatory camp. He's not going to miss all of training camp. He is actually in the building in Buffalo. He was in Buffalo, but he's not playing. Something or nothing. We'll get to it. Thomas is big on baseball. We have not touched on a lot of baseball. I mean, it might be that time of year. It might be that time of year. But if the NBA and the NFL have anything to say about it, I don't think they're going to want us to talk too much about baseball. But that it is definitely baseball season. And when the stories are right, I'll definitely touch on that. I've been trying to not get too wrapped up in the drama of Tim Anderson and what he's got going on off the field. But, maybe at some point we'll get locked in. I got my guy, Greg Larnard, ESPN Radio. I'm trying to get him on the stream. We try to get him on draft night. Maybe we'll be able to get him to pull up successfully this time. And then he'll be able to get us up to speed. Because he's a big baseball guy. Talks about it a lot on his show on ESPN Radio out there in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Greg Larnard might be our guy to pull up and just get us up to speed for those who are interested in baseball. And just, switch things up. Switch things up because, Denver, you can think New York because of this man. This man crawled so Jamal Murray could walk. This man crawled so Nikola Jokic could run. The Denver Nuggets have one person to thank for their success. You can give me all the scouts who looked at Jokic and said in the second round, he should be a guy. You can look at Jamal, all the scouts and the trainers that said, no, Jamal Murray, he's worth the risk. There is only one man responsible, one man, for what the Denver Nuggets got off last night. And he is a New Yorker. Look at the drip. Look at the drip. And the Nuggets jeans, when these jeans were worn, it created a pathway for what you saw last night. When these jeans were worn, destiny was going to be fulfilled. The arc began here. The drip. Look at my son with the drip. The Denver Nuggets jeans. Urban legend to actual legend. Okay? Sometimes you just have to be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. Sometimes you're a one of one. Sometimes you stand out there on that ledge and nobody believes. Sometimes you're the one saying the thing and everyone says you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes you're the one that hits the block and says, you know what I'm going to kill him with today? I'm going to kill him with the all Nuggets fit. Not just the polo, not just the hat tilted, but I'm going to hit him with the Denver Nuggets jeans to match. So when I'm walking away, you still get to see the drip. When I'm walking away, you get to see the layers of the drip, the thought process that went into this drip. This man is a legend. And we are here to give him his flowers. He saw it before the rest of us. We thought maybe when it was Melo, AI, Marcus Camby, Young JR, Birdman, all those guys, we thought, well, maybe. This guy still believed. He let us know that when you fell off, when Melo got traded to the Knicks, he still believed. When AI was traded to Detroit, he still believed. When Gallinari was a Nugget, he still believed. Give this man his flowers. Denver, you're welcome. You only won that championship not because of Nikola Jokic, not because of Jamal Murray, not because of Aaron Gordon's defense or Jimmy Butler, not because of Michael Porter Jr. crashing the boards. You won this championship because someone, a man, a urban legend, turned into an actual legend, decided to hit the block in Nuggets drip. And it set the course of action for you to host up a Larry O.B. Denver, you're welcome. All right, let's get into this game. So the Heat fall to the Nuggets in 5. Your man's Jimmy Butler, where the hell was he? Superstar or nah? Big nah energy. Big nah energy. Put this on the timeline at the CMD on the Elon app, but I'll give it to y'all direct. This is the shot chart for Jimmy Butler last night. And we'll let him get his fourth quarter shine because he actually was aggressive and took some shots extremely late in that game. But where was this superstar in the first quarter? I see nothing but red, no green. Second quarter, 2 buckets in close, but anything else, all red. Where was this superstar? Where was his superstar in the third quarter? Heat fans, how you feeling today? Your superstar, the one who got you here, the one who told you after every single game, we're going to win the next game, and you believed it. How do you feel? What a putrid performance. And he tried to save it late. He only had 2 buckets when it was 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And he tried to go jump into the booth, loosen up the tie, put on the cape, Superman is alive. But it was too little too late, because those first 3 quarters, you were nowhere to be found. And you're supposed to be Hibby Buckets, trademark pending, allegedly. You're supposed to be him. The hell happened? Why couldn't you be the guy that everyone kept saying you were? They were comparing you to LeBron. They were comparing you to Jordan. The hell happened, bruh? Choke? Spit the bit? None of that stuff even adds up. Maybe you're not him. Have you ever considered that? When you are your own greatest promoter, that means you're your own biggest fan. How does that play out when this is the performance you give on the world's biggest stage? The whole country last night was waiting for you to be aggressive and take shots. And this is what we got in the first quarter of a do-or-die game. This is what we got in the second quarter of a do-or-die game. This is what we got in the third quarter of a do-or-die game. And then in the fourth quarter, I don't know if they gave you some smelling salts or something, but you just woke up when it was 5 minutes to go. Then all of a sudden, bombs away. 4:30 left. 3:47 left. 2 minutes left. 17 seconds left. 5 minutes left. What about the other 7 minutes in the quarter, Jimmy? Bruh, I don't. Yeah, y'all could call him whatever y'all want, but I saw all I needed to see. I mean, I already knew before that Jimmy Butler was not a superstar, but there's no way you can look me in the face and claim to know basketball and tell me after that game last night, yeah, Jimmy Butler's a superstar. Can't tell me that. Meanwhile, on the other side, we got a dude in Nikola Jokic who scoops up finals MVP rather easily and puts up 28 and 16 in a game clinch, in a title clincher. And I'll tell you this, real talk, from watching Jokic all this year, for the casuals, you still haven't seen the best of Jokic. None of these games was vintage Jokic. Game 1, you got a little bit. Game 2, he put up a lot of points, but not a lot of assists. You didn't get that quintessential Jokic game, but he was still so instrumental in this victory that they gave him the MVP anyway. He sleepwalked his way to damn near a triple-double in the finals. 28 and 16. And only 4 dimes. So the second time in this series, they held him to 4 dimes. Let's go to his shot chart. Where was he cooking last night? If you've been following this stream as these playoffs have gone on, I've been showing y'all Jokic loves the front of the rim. The front of the rim. Let's see. Did that trend continue? Look at where these shots are at, man. Just look at where these shots are at, man. This man is bully balling in the paint. And if he goes outside, it's up at the top of the key, bruh. That's it. No baseline needed. No baseline. I'm right here in the paint, dogs. I'm leaning on you. I dare you to stop me. He sleepwalked his way to a finals MVP. He had better performances against the Lakers and the Suns than he did in his finals against the Heat. Now, some are saying, well, the Heat played him tough. And yeah, Bam Adebayo is certainly a guy that can give him problems. But we also saw that with Rui Hachimura. Anthony Davis didn't fare as well as Bam did, clearly. That's why Rui got the opportunity, and Rui was actually low-key all right. And that might have been the blueprint for Bam Adebayo low-key. Because historically, Jokic has killed the Heat. And Bam's been in the lineup. But Jokic sleepwalked his way to a finals MVP. And it was so effortless that Mans wasn't even that turned up in the postgame. Mans wanted to go home straight to Serbia. He thought it was a wrap. He didn't know there was even a parade. He just wants to take it to the crib. He's got wifey. He's got his seed. He wants to go back to the crib. He's got his bros with him. I just want to go back to the crib in Serbia, bruh. I like racing horses. This whole thing over here is a job. And I loved that quote last night where Jokic is like, doesn't everybody hate their job? And I'm like, thank you for saying that. A lot of these athletes, this is a job. And I know, people are fans. And they think that these players should live and die with their own emotions as fans. But they don't. It's a job. That was the greatest thing Nikola Jokic has ever done, is to say, doesn't everybody hate their job? This is a job to me. Perfect. Loved it. Let's hit the chat. Thomas, a little too late. Nuggets had on their mind. Yeah, look, Jimmy tried all that late stuff and he tried to be the hero at the very end, but it was too late. Extremely too late. Jokic is him. No, that's facts. And again, I know Thomas knows basketball, but for those casuals who were just tapping in on the whole Jokic experience, I'm telling you, it's better than what you saw in the finals. It's better. Look, this right here is historic. No one has ever led the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. We'll even throw in the win shares. But here's the part that people are sleeping on. Normally, people like LeBron always rock these stats, right? Because they always play a lot of games. Do you not remember the path of the Nuggets? Finals in 5. Western Conference Finals in a sweep. The Suns were 6 games. In the first round, I forgot who they even played in the first round. Was that the Timberwolves? That had to be a sweep of 5 games. So he did all of this in minimal games. The most he ever played was 6 in the series, and that was 2 rounds ago. And he still led everybody in points, rebounds, and assists. And he hates his job. Oh, man, I love it. I love it. Keep being you, Nikola. Keep being you. If you're going to force this man to be over here talking in his second language, you might as well spit that raw, spit that real, talking your talk. Nikola Jokic went out here, and let me see, make sure y'all can see all of that. Nope, y'all can't see all of that. Stand by. Close that gap. All right. Let's see. I'm going to close that up too much. Trying to get these windows just right so y'all can see everything I'm trying to show y'all. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, so Jokic is out here, 30, 14, 12-7 just in the finals alone. And if you do its playoff numbers, it's 9.5 assists and a double-double. So just say triple-double. He averaged a triple-double for the playoffs. 30, 14, and 7 in the NBA Finals in only 5 games. Like, this is madness, bro. And, you know, Jamal Murray out here 21, 6, and 10. I keep asking the question, is this the new Kobe and Shaq? I keep getting pushback, but I just keep asking y'all the question, well then, what is this? When you have the best big man in the game and a top-tier guard, when's the last time we've seen that? Kobe and Shaq. Now, do they do it differently? Yes. Jokic does not play like Shaq. Jamal Murray does not play like Kobe. But in terms of having a team that has won a championship and has a top-tier guard and the best big in the league, we haven't seen that since Kobe and Shaq. Y'all let me know. Because there's not that much to break down here. You know, after game 3, I said it on here. I was like, yo, this is done in 5. And here we are. The finals is done in 5. We could sit here and go crazy about Bam Adebayo. We could go sit here and go crazy about the ineffectiveness of the undrafted guys, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. We could go through all of that, but it doesn't matter. Because as gutty as the Heat played, you still didn't get a quintessential Nugget-like performance to me. As a team, they shot 33% from 3. That's not the Denver Nugget way. 33% from 3? That's not what they do. And the fact that the Heat, who's been riding hot streaks of their own in terms of three-point shooting to get to this point, only shooting 34%, when that's their bread and butter, unless Jimmy goes crazy. And Jimmy clearly, with 22, 5, and 6, did not go crazy in this series. People are going to look back at this box score and say, well, Jimmy was okay, ignoring the fact of what Jimmy was prior to get them to this place in the first place. 40 balls, 50 balls, 30 pieces, routinely. That did not happen here. And you got to give a lot of props to Aaron Gordon, who I was warning y'all on the finals preview stream. I said, yo, Aaron Gordon, he could give your man's Jimmy some problems. And he damn sure did. I mean, for all the people that like to talk shit about Nikola Jokic had the highest defensive rating for the Denver Nuggets. Now, defensive rating is not the be-all, end-all, but I'm just saying defensive rating for the NBA Finals, Nikola Jokic had the best defensive rating. Better than Aaron Gordon. Better than Bruce Brown. Just saying. Can't make this stuff up. Meanwhile, we go to Miami. And look at these defensive ratings. Bam Adebayo, 114. And this is with him playing well in this series. His defensive rating is a 114, which is not good. The higher the number away from 100, if you don't know about defensive rating, the higher the number away from defensive rating, the worse it is. For defense, for offense, it's the opposite. The higher the number is away from 100, the better you are. So look at Bam Adebayo, a 102 offensive rating, a 114 defensive rating. The Heat would have loved the reverse of this. They would have loved Bam Adebayo to have a 114 offensive rating and a 102 defensive rating, but no chance, dogs. And your man's Jimmy, ankle or not, a 118 defensive rating. Who is he guarding? And I rewatched the game this morning to make sure he was running away from a lot of coverages. Just saying. Gabe Vincent with Swiss cheese out here. We know what happened in game 1, but he kept getting caught on switches with Aaron Gordon. He got bully balled 119 defensive rating. Kyle Lowry might have been the best guard for the Heat. Duncan Robinson, who is another guy that's a try-hard. 107 offensive rating, 119 defensive rating. Again, just like Bam, the Heat would have loved the reverse of this. And Kevin Love, who gave them a little something. I mean, Kevin Love has the lowest defensive rating out of any of the guys that got major minutes on the Miami Heat, if you can believe that. And damn near the highest. So basically, if you're really into analytics, Kevin Love was the most productive player, or the most efficiently productive player. Bam Adebayo was probably the overall best player for the Heat, but in terms of efficiency and analytics, it was Kevin Love. Who would have had that? This series was really tailor-made and done for after Game 3. I saw all I needed to see. Once the bully ball effect happened in Game 3, right here, one of the 109-94, that first game in Miami, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, as long as they play like this, any kind of semblance of this series is over. It took a horrific shooting night and a barrage of threes for Miami to get one game. A barrage of threes. What they shot? Like over 50% from three in that game. Over 50% from three. Or damn near. 49% from three. Got to make half their threes. And the Nuggets just couldn't buy a bucket late, had a bunch of turnovers late, and they tricked it off. Even though Jokic was killing them just because the Heat defense allowed him to cook. Was that when Spo lost the series? Spo didn't have the same energy, didn't have the same charisma after he tried to lie to Ramona Shelburne. Eric Spoelstra lied to Ramona Shelburne. He lied to her, and in doing so, he tried to insult us. He tried to say we had untrained eyes. We don't know what we're watching. We don't know what we're talking about on streams like this, pods like mine, and all the other content y'all are doing out there and consuming. He thinks we don't know what we're talking about, even though the thing that he said he wasn't doing, Steve Kerr was running around with the habitual nut hitter saying, oh yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. But we have the untrained eye. So I guess that means Steve Kerr has the untrained eye as well. A man who's won multiple championships at every level and in the NBA. Okay. Did Eric Spoelstra blow the series when he questioned Ramona Shelburne and tried to give us his LeBron, you guys are broke, I'ma still wake up and be LeBron James speech after Game 2? Is that when Miami tricked this off? Because by saying you're not trying to make Jokic a scorer and making that null and void, for some reason he felt, well, that means I can't just let him go do that in Game 3 because then I'm going to have to answer that question again. So then he went back to the doubling and the auto switching in Game 3, and that was the only game that was a bona fide blowout in this series. Did Spo outthink himself by trying to make us act like we don't know what we're watching because we could easily see at home what he was trying to do on the court with Nikola Jokic? I think that's a fair thing to bring up, to be quite honest with you. I'll hit the chat. Thomas in the chat heavy. I dig it. You're right, exactly. Haven't been done since Kobe and Shaq. Nuggets could have a couple more championships before it's said and done. And I think that's the scary part. Let's go ahead and keep it a buck. These finals were boring, right? They were boring only because there was a clear mismatch. It was boring because the best player on either team does things effortlessly. And it was boring because the matchup just wasn't sexy, right? Here's the thing I'm going to talk about next. Where do you see improvements in either conference that can legitimately knock off the Denver Nuggets next? Assuming they run this back, assuming, let's even say they bring back Bruce Brown. Let's say they keep their core four, Bruce Brown, Christian Brown's on a rookie contract, so he'll be there. Like, they keep the core together. Who's beating them in the West? This is what I was asking in February when we were trying to deduce after the trade deadline and all the dust had settled into Dallas getting Kyrie and the Lakers and all the deals that they made and, Phoenix getting Kevin Durant. I still was asking, are any of those teams going to beat Denver? And I got a lot of, it's going to be light, can't trust Jokic. And I'm like, have y'all been watching Denver? I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to be next. I don't believe in Memphis, especially with whatever Ja news comes down. Like the Beam, I think that's a great story, but I don't see that being a thing next year. The Suns, I don't believe in the whole Kevin Durant, Devin Booker thing being better. I mean, we just saw it. Like, yes, they could have a full year together in terms of booking KD, and they could develop chemistry that could make them fare better against Denver since they took them the furthest. They took them to 6 games. But in regards to beating them 4 out of 7, I don't see it. Even if they get the Beard or Fred VanVleet, I just don't see it. And if they bring the point fraud back, I mean, y'all already know how I feel about that. So, yeah. And the Warriors, we talked about that on yesterday's stream. I don't trust another year older of the habitual nut hitter and Klay Thompson. I don't trust that. Lakers, I mean, cool story. LeBron, you bringing in Kyrie? Maybe. Maybe you bring in Fred VanVleet? Maybe. All of that is cool. I don't think that means you couldn't even get a game this year. I don't think you beat Denver 4 out of 7 because Anthony Davis is not going to be able to stop Nikola Jokic next year either. And you might not even bring back Rui Hachimura. So that roster could be very different. They only have a handful of people on the actual roster for next year. So I don't know who's even going to be on that roster. But even if they run it back, they're not going to get any better. Even if you add Kyrie, I don't think that's enough either. Minnesota, they're a laughing stock. They might finally be trading Karl Anthony Towns. Everyone is interested in what the Pels are going to do, and I have some fake trades with them or some fake maneuvers they might be trying to do to get to the 3rd pick that Portland possesses. But even if they try to run it back with the group that they got with Zion, Young Reaper, CJ McCollum, nope, that ain't it either. OKC, we're going to talk about them later in regards to a blue check boy has them in his top 5 of NBA contenders next year. Who are these people? The Mavericks? Nope. Utah? Nope. There's nobody here, right? So there's not a team that's currently constituted on the horizon that's better than Denver. So barring injury, in my opinion, they should come out the West again next year to defend their title. Then you got to figure out what the hell happens in the East. And something tells me there's going to be a lot of movement in the East this upcoming offseason. So I won't go and break down team by team yet because I think there's going to be a lot of differences between how these teams look today and how they look once free agency is on and popping. All right, so let's see if we can get to the fake trade stuff. I mean, I could go down some of this stuff. Nikola Jokic, nobody likes their job. I'll stay on this topic. Nobody likes their job. Maybe they do. They're lying. This is the realest shit I've ever said. This is a job for him. He doesn't enjoy basketball, but he's tall. He needed a way out of Serbia. His brothers hooped, amongst other things. So he did what he was supposed to do. As the youngest, he got trained up to be the best of the bunch, And this is what he's come over here to do as a second-round pick, 41st overall, which a lot of people weren't even aware of until the Denver Nuggets got to the NBA Finals. Even when Jokic was winning, back-to-back MVPs, there was no talk of this guy being a second-round pick, 41st overall. Only when they make it to the NBA Finals, like, wow, he's a second-round pick, right? They're like, well, I know, but how come y'all didn't know? The man won 2 whole-ass MVPs, and y'all didn't say nothing about that? Casuals. It man's Jimmy. 21 points, 5 of 18 field goals, 1 clutch turnover, bricked game-tying 3. He's just Jimmy now, no buckets. That's an editorial comment, not my opinion, because I was never calling him that anyway, and if I was, it was mockingly. And here comes another blue check boy. This is the same blue check boy who felt like there was no interesting storylines with the Denver Nuggets. He is now out here saying the thing. So again, a boring NBA Finals, right? For the casuals. How do you make this interesting after a anticlimactic 5-game gentleman's sweep? You jump out the window and say the thing. This blue check boy isn't ready to call Nikola Jokic an all-time player. I'd probably feel differently about Jokic if he had gone through Boston or Milwaukee or in a matchup with Joel Embiid. So in essence, your finals MVP, your championship doesn't count because the team that I feel were better than Miami couldn't make it out the East. And some of those teams couldn't even get through Miami. Milwaukee lost to Miami. Boston lost to Miami. But to this blue check boy, I'm going to withhold all-time status from Jokic because the team that he beat the teams that I feel were better. Like, what? Like, it's a weird concept to think about here. Like, we're saying, oh, well, Milwaukee, Boston, the Sixers would have been a better matchup for Jokic. Right. But 2 of those 3 got eliminated by the team that he just walked through in 5 games. What are we talking about here? Like, again, if you don't have nothing nice to say, why say anything at all? Because that's all this is. Content got to get pushed out. So, all right, I'm going to just say the thing. Because this will get the clicks. This will make it to Timeline T, and Sam will go crazy about it, and it'll be mission accomplished, and let's see. And this is an aggregated tweet. This ain't even the original tweet. Yeah. 750,000. 750,000 views. So, for them, mission accomplished. And if you want to talk about the path to a championship, they defeated 2 8 seeds. They defeated a 4 seed and a 7 seed. And some people are taking this opportunity, much like the blue check boy right here, to call this a fraudulent run or an easy path or a less than impressive path. They were the number 1 seed. They played the 8 seed. There's nothing you can do about that, right? The 4 seed was out here, and they beat the 5 seed to advance, so they played the higher seed. The only way this works is because of the 7 seed with the Lakers, right? But they beat the 2 seed. Now, when they get into the 8 seed and the Heat, but the Heat were not your normal 8 seed, right? Like, I don't hear anyone calling that Spurs championship where they beat the Knicks, the one that Duncan and Robinson won together. I don't hear anyone calling that into question. The Knicks were an 8 seed. Wasn't that the lockout year? They were coming off the lockout. Tim Duncan's first championship, David Robinson's only championship, came after a lockout, and they beat an 8 seed in the Knicks. I've never heard anyone put an asterisk around it. I've never heard anyone call it into question. I've never heard anyone do a deep dive and call it fraudulent. It's just, no, David Robinson's an NBA champion. It's, oh, Tim Duncan, that was one of his, what, 5 championships? No one calls it into question. No one denies it. It's just, oh, the Knicks made as an 8 seed? Okay, the Spurs won the championship. Duncan and Robinson, Twin Towers, it was dope. There was no referendum on David Robinson's career. But this is the culture that we're living in now, where everything gets called into question because it creates content. Saying the thing could get you paid. If you just want to be a fake contrarian, you can get paid cracking the mic. So only in this time, in this era, are we looking at a team that won a championship and calling it into question. Because I was around when the Spurs and the Knicks played. I remember those days. There was no one saying, oh, well, this is a fraudulent championship for the San Antonio Spurs. They were like, man, Tim Duncan about to win a whole bunch of these, and I'm glad David Robinson got one on the way out. That's all I heard. I didn't heard, well, they beat an 8 seed. Like, this championship doesn't mean anything. When Tim Duncan was being enshrined into the Hall of Fame, no one was saying, oh, well, you know, that Knicks one doesn't really count. When David Robinson went into the Hall of Fame, no one was saying, oh, well, I mean, he only won one championship, and that one doesn't really count. Didn't hear that. But somehow, to get clicks off, to run the numbers up, I'd feel differently about Jokic if he had gone through Boston or Milwaukee or a matchup with Embiid when Miami beat 2 of those teams. Why would you still want to face Milwaukee when Milwaukee can't even beat Miami? Why do you want Boston when Boston spit the bit and couldn't even beat Miami? It took them 4 games to wake up. I hate this media shit sometimes, man. I really do. I really do. I'll hit the chat. Thomas, I don't see anyone in the West challenging him. I mean, that's facts, bro. I don't see it either. I truly don't. Magic Man's in the house was good. Thomas, that doesn't make sense. Well, that should have been played better than. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the part that's hard for me to understand when people just say stuff. And Magic Man's already stirring the pot with his anti-KD agenda. Thomas, yeah, that was a strike short in season when they won. Yeah, so then that was the lockout. That was the lockout. So no one ever brings up that championship as being fraudulent. No one brings up that thing as being like, oh, like we need to now have a discussion. Like no one's out here saying Tim Duncan's first ring doesn't count. Like it's just only in the silliness of this content era are we at this point in time. All right, so this is what I was talking about when it came to a blue check boy that has his title contenders for next year. And we could thank this man for employing him and giving him opportunity to spew nonsense like this. I would love for Mad Dog to name more than 2 Oklahoma City Thunder players because he probably can't do it. But because he's on TV, he gets to say stuff and put stuff on the board and, you know, spew, you know, venom for about, 2 to 3 minutes before you take a commercial break. Top 5 NBA title contenders for next season. Warriors, stupid. Nuggets, I mean, of course. Bucks, I mean, I guess if they run it back. Kings, no chance. And Thunder. Like, again, I'm going to give you some behind-the-scenes stuff when it comes to content like this. You always have to have one wild card in there, right? Because if he would have put, like, the Lakers, it would have been a generic list, more or less, right? You could argue maybe the Kings, but no. You need something to step out on that ledge that interests people. Saying the Warriors is an easy answer. Saying the Nuggets is an automatic answer. Saying the Bucks is an easy answer. Saying the Kings, I mean, you're trying to be cute, but, they were the 2nd or 3rd seed in the West. It's feasible, right? But choosing a team in the Thunder that were 2 games under 500, where Chet Holmgren hasn't even played yet, and trying to sell us on them being a title contender for next season, that is how you do content. That is called making people pay attention and screenshot like this and regurgitate your content and aggregate it. This list doesn't make this site and doesn't get aggregated if he doesn't put the Thunder here. If he puts a generic team, if he puts the Celtics here, no one cares. It's not doing, how many, like 200 views, 200K views. And this is just one aggregated account. There's multiple aggregated accounts that have this up as well. So this is what makes the list, having the Thunder here. So for those that are going to try to do content, learn the lessons. I'm choosing not to follow that path, but if you're just trying to run the numbers up and go viral and do shit like that, this is how you do that. Now, again, you don't have the power of ESPN behind you to push your narratives, but if you're trying to get into that lane, this is how you do it. I'm not saying you should do it. I wished more people wouldn't do it. But it is what it is. Okay. Doc Rivers with some shade for James Harden. Doc Rivers says it was, quote, challenging coaching James Harden. Here's the quote from the Bill Simmons podcast podcast, typo, but it's okay. Quote, it was challenging, more because we were fighting two things and not like visually fighting. James was so good at playing one way, and the way I believe you have to play to win in some ways is different, because it's a lot of giving the ball up, moving the ball, and coming back to the ball. So basically, he said James Harden is a ball hog. That's all I took from this, which is nothing new. What did you think you were going to get from James Harden? If we look up James Harden's usage rate, historically, he was Luka before Luka when it comes to the usage rate. Let's get right down to the advanced numbers. And we could go right to that usage rate, and then we can ask your man's Doc, what the hell did you think you were getting? Okay, so as you see, at his peak, he was a 40.5. I can't begin to tell you how high of a usage rate that is. I have been telling y'all here on this stream that 30 is like a baseline of a number one option when it comes to usage rate, right? He had a 40. I don't think y'all hear me though. 30 is the baseline of a number one option. This man had a 40. And he had a 36 the year before that. So in a 36 the year after the 40. So this is peak James Harden. The ball is in my hands. I'm pick and rolling you to death. I'm sidestep threeing you. I'm step back threeing you. I'm doing all of this every single possession down. Now, when he went to Brooklyn, the numbers came down a little bit, but once Kyrie and him had that talk and they figured out who was going to be the point guard, his numbers went roughly back to high 30s. Because with this Brooklyn, you have to count in the times when he wasn't on the ball and it was him and Kyrie sharing. So when you see what happens when we went to Brooklyn, it was close to 30 again. And this is him playing with KD and Kyrie. And then in Philly, the last 2 years, it's been respectable. Respectable, right? But like, if we go to Joel Embiid, I see you, Magic Man. I see you. Let me just get this off real quick. 37 usage rate for Joel Embiid. 37 usage rate. So Doc Rivers is out here. Where is it? Oh, right here. Doc Rivers. Let me move these tabs so it's a little closer. Joel Embiid is Doc Rivers is out here saying, I believe, and the way I believe you have to play to win in some ways is different because it's a lot of giving up the ball, moving the ball, and coming back to the ball. Look at Joel Embiid's usage rate, Doc. 37. It's a miracle the Beard even had a 28-25 usage rate. 37 for Embiid. I mean, Doc, just take the L, bro. Just take the L, bro. Stop lying to people. Just take the L. Let me hit the chat. Magic Man, Big White Man, Jokic is him. Yeah. I mean, he certainly was the man in this series. He certainly was the man in this series. Thomas, it looks like a fair championship to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the hate on Jokic. I don't understand. Well, I do understand it. He doesn't look the part. The man's literally said, like, I don't like this shit as a job to me. Like, this shit is legendary. This is legendary right here. Nobody likes their job. Maybe they do, they're lying. That's facts, though. He's taking his check, and he's taking his family and his trophy, and he's going back to Serbia to ride horses. That's what this man is doing. And then he's going to come back around August and September and then go dominate the league again and maybe get a third MVP in 4 years. This is what Mans is doing. This is who he is. All right. This is next, just so y'all know. Magic Man, some fool said Jamal Murray should have been MVP. Yeah, that's a little much. As much as I'm all about Jamal Murray. I've said it for years. The Nuggets go as Jamal Murray goes. But even it's Jokic, man. Dude averaged a double-double and could have had a triple-double. Like, come on, man. Nah. Anybody saying that it's just looking for a reason to hate. And I get it. There's a lot of people hating on Nikola Jokic. There's a lot of people not liking the fact of how he looks, what he looks like, the lack of explosiveness in his game. He doesn't fit the bill of an NBA superstar. We had the discussion yesterday of, is Jimmy Butler a superstar? And the answer is a quantifiable no, an emphatic no. But Nikola Jokic, even with the lack of muscle definition, even with the lack of outgoing personality, even with the lack of giving a fuck about playing the game of basketball, he's a superstar because he's doing things we have literally not seen. We ran down the numbers earlier in this stream. He led the entire postseason in points, rebounds, and assists. Now, first of all, that's crazy just for a footer. Hard stop. But then when you factor in the fact that he only played 5 games in the finals, 4 games in the conference finals, 6 games in the second round, and then I think the Timberwolves was a sweep. Like, he did it in damn near the least amount of games possible. And still because LeBron used to do numbers like that. But LeBron would be going 7 games every goddamn round. Jokic is out here with a sweep, a gentleman's sweep, another sweep, and a 6-gamer. Led everybody in everything that matters most. Points, rebounds, assists. Insane. Okay? Kevin and Kyrie were injured prone, so that's why he's close to 30. Sure, but as a Nets guy, I'm sure they also had to have that discussion of who's running point between him and Kyrie when Kyrie was back and not injury prone. Now again, it didn't happen that long, but it happened enough to whether it was him and Kyrie or him and KD, more so when it was him and Kyrie. All right, who's the point and who's the two? But yes, we didn't see that enough, and that contributed to it being close to 30 as opposed to his usual 35, 36, 37. But that was Embiid anyway. So Doc Rivers was just bullshit. He's pulling stuff out of his ass, even though he was fired and let go. All right, so Zion. Shams on the Pelicans potentially trading Zion Williamson. I'm told the Pelicans are going after Scoot Henderson. Do the Pelicans look hard internally of moving Zion Williamson? Now, I'm sure Shams is plugged in. I'm sure he is. I would never doubt that he's plugged in. He's broken too much news to not be plugged in. Here's the main issue when it comes to this reporting. A few weeks ago, Shams and others were saying that the Blazers, the Portland Trail Blazers, are looking for an elite wing to pair with Dame Lillard. To my knowledge, Zion Williamson is not that wing. To me, I think this is about, and I'm sure they can ask about Zion. I don't think the Pels are going to trade Zion. But I do think the Pels would trade young Reaper, Brandon Ingram. I think he would be traded for the number 3 overall pick. And if I'm Damian Lillard, I'd rather get Brandon Ingram on my squad than Zion. You can't trust that. You can't trust Zion. It's sad it's come to that. And again, it's not even all about the on-court stuff. Can we trust this man in Portland running wild? I think if the Portland Trail Blazers are actually serious about trading the number 3 overall pick to acquire help for Damian Lillard, it cannot be Zion Williamson. I would look at Brandon Ingram and lock in on him if you're going to deal with the Pelicans. If you're going to go and get Zion Williamson, that to me is bringing in a humongous question mark into that franchise when Dame is already giving out a side eye from the lack of moves over years past. I'll hit the chat. Magic Man is Jokic an all-time great? Yeah, don't listen to Chris Mannix. Don't listen to Chris Mannix. Whatever you do, do not listen to Chris Mannix. Stop it. As much as at times I can respect people's hustle and understand why they're saying certain things because they need to go viral to prove their worth to their companies, it's hella problematic to me when you're trying to tell me that Jokic is not an all-time player because he didn't go through Boston or Milwaukee when both those teams lost to the team that the Joker just gentleman sweeped out of there in 5 games. I just refuse to acknowledge an asinine opinion like it. Magic Man, I believe so. Yeah, he is an all-time great. Like, you don't do what he's done. Even if he didn't win this chip, even if he didn't, let's say they spit the bit and fall to the Heat, he's still an all-time great. Like, just your team success isn't always a derivative of what your individual accolades are. His individual accolades make him an all-time great. Not too many people have won multiple MVPs. He won multiple MVPs. He's made deep playoff runs throughout his career. And even if they would have tricked off this finals, he would still be an all-time great. What would make you think less of him from a basketball playing aspect? Not a team success standpoint, from a basketball playing aspect, what would make you think less of him if they would have tricked this off to the Heat? To me, nothing. Nothing. Because if the Nuggets would have lost, it wouldn't have been because of Jokic. Now, if Jokic goes out here and is ineffective like Jimmy Butler was, that's a different conversation. But we've seen Jokic put up numbers and this team has still lost. If that trend would have continued, if Spo wouldn't have been in his feelings, because us with the untrained eye are able to pick out and recognize what he's trying to do, along with the man with a lot of rings on his fingers and Steve Kerr. If Spo doesn't get in his feelings and goes away from that game plan, if he rides that out and says, no, I want Joker to average 40, 50 a game, and then we're going to try to lock everybody else up. If they were to win a chip that way, that has nothing to say about Jokic. So what does winning this chip do for Jokic? The 2 MVPs were still going to be there. The triple-double average in the playoffs were still going to be there. What was going to change if the Nuggets tricked off this finals to make you think less of Nikola Jokic? Or what, he just doesn't have a ring? We back on that Barkley shit? We back on that Patrick Ewing shit? AB in the house. Jokic is becoming a great. He's already there, dog. He's already there. He's already there. You don't pull this off and not be there. You don't pull all this off, bro. You don't pull all this off. 5-time All-NBA, 2-time MVP. Like, come on, dogs. You don't. Career averages is 20, 11, and 7. That's a footer. Come on, man. Come on, man. And you know that average is going to get higher every year. Like, he's 27. He's 27. Like, he's going to get this up to about 25. Once he gets to 25, 11, and 8 or 9, is he great then? Because if he ain't great now, how much more he got to do? If he's becoming great, what more do you have to do? Giannis only got 1 championship. And we're calling him an all-time great. The Nigerian freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He has 1 championship, and he has multiple MVPs. People are calling him an all-time great, and there's no question about that. Jokic has multiple MVPs and 1 championship, and we got blue check boys out here talking crazy. Actually out here questioning if he's an all-time player. It's idiotic. It's absolutely idiotic. It doesn't make any sense. Giannis is an all-time great, and so is Jokic. And I don't understand how we're at this point. Because he's got the all-defensive? Is that it? He's got 2 more All-Stars, 2 more All-NBAs, and he's got the defensive stuff. And by the way, their career averages are very comparable. Giannis out here with 23, 10, and 5. Jokic is out here at, 20, 11, and 6 or 7? Like, I don't know, man. I like get a couple more? Yo, y'all wildin'. Y'all wildin'. That's asking too much, man. We're not asking that of the Nigerian freak. We are not asking that of him. I don't understand how we're asking that of him, of Jokic, but we're not asking that of Giannis Antetokounmpo. That to me doesn't make a lot of sense. That to me is a little slanderous. It's a little slanderous, to be quite honest. Because at some point it's like, You're seeing something unprecedented. And he has shown you, whether he was alone when Murray was rehabbing off the ACL, he could still get those numbers up and he could take his team far. He showed you in the bubble how him and Murray could be that 1-2 thing and they could cook. Now he's continued to ascend and get better. And he should have won a third straight MVP. If Kendrick Perkins doesn't play the race card, he probably gets a third straight MVP. Imagine the year. Regular season MVP, championship, finals MVP. I'm literally putting up numbers no one has ever done before. I'm leading the entire playoffs in points, assists, and rebounds by playing minimal games. Imagine, man, he would be at 3. That means he would be an NBA legend. He's an NBA legend already. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. He's an NBA legend already. Nikola Jokic, you think this is going to be poo-pooed? Like, you think people are going to forget this? If anything, they're just going to go to the box score and go be like, what the hell is this? They're just going to go right here and be, how is a second round pick that was 41st overall cooking a whole league like this as a footer? Now, I've heard some people compare him to Wilt, like he's like wilting. He's like the Wilt of this era. I'm not going that far because ain't nobody dropping 100, dog. But this right here is ridiculous, bruh. This right here is elite. Like, from his third year on, he's been cooking. You could argue the second year, but from his third year on, in terms of efficiency, and that's when the dimes were really getting involved. All the numbers have gone up in terms of facilitating and dropping dimes. How is he not a legend already? He's been him. And the playoff runs, playoff success, look at it. Only eliminated in the first round once. So he's advanced advanced deep in the playoffs multiple times. And look at these numbers he's putting up. 25-13, 24-10, 30-12, 31-13. And this past offseason, or this past postseason, a triple-double. And y'all need to see more? He needs to win more chips? Yeah, I need to know who else needs to win more chips then. There's people with no chips. Damian Lillard is a legend, is an all-timer. He don't got numbers like this, especially in the postseason. Anthony Davis got Dame up out of here, dolo with the Pelicans. But y'all will call Dame an all-time great. Jokic is better than Dame. I don't know what's going on right now. Magic Man, I've seen a lot of white people hate on Jokic. I mean, well, yeah, I think it's more of an anti-European thing. Some people, some basketball fans, don't like to see a European come over here and go crazy. Especially a European who clearly says, I don't want to be here. I don't even want to be here, bro. I don't even want to be here. Nobody likes their job. Maybe they do, they're lying. I don't like my job. I don't want to be here. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are not rocking with Nikola Jokic. Because he's saying, yo, I just show up, I hoop, I collect trophies, I go back to Serbia. I don't care about growing the sport unless it's helping some other Serbs come over here and get a bag and you know, send some money back to the crib, back home. But like, I'm taking these trophies. Like, he didn't even want to do the parade, bro. I know y'all saw it. He didn't even want to do the parade. Magic Man, no, he's not a legend. He's an all-time great. I mean, man, if you're doing numbers that have been unprecedented, and it's been for a few years now, it's not like this is like a one-year run. If this was like a one-year run, you know what I'm saying? You could be like Pee Wee Kirkland. You could be a legend in 2 games, but this is different. This is different. Mans has been cooking for sure the last 3 to 4 years, but you could honestly say the last 6 years, he's been cooking as a transcendent big, as a untraditional big, an unorthodox big. Guys like Giannis, KD, Jokic are all greats, while LeBron and Steph are legends. Let me ask y'all a question. Steph doesn't win that championship last year. Is he still a legend? AB, I'm not saying that Joker isn't great. I want him to get more chips to add to his resume. Winning chips are not easy. Like, Giannis thought he was going to run off a few. Hasn't happened. Like, winning chips ain't easy like that. So I don't see, again, that's where I don't confuse, in my opinion, I don't allow team success to inflate individual accolades and vice versa. Like, Barkley never won. That doesn't stop me from putting Barkley in my top 25, my top 20, my top whatever. Just because, you know, he had to carry Oliver Miller to the NBA Finals doesn't mean I'm not going to put him properly in these top whatever list. Just because, you know, he had Hersey Hawkins with him early in his career doesn't mean I'm going to hold that against him. I'm saying, as a great, you want more. I mean, sure, they all want more. I mean, well, maybe Jokic might not want more. I mean, after what you saw, shit, I guess I have to pull it up. I mean, the video was too good. But like, after seeing him on the court and at the podium, do you think he really wants more? Like, he shows up, and if they win, great. If they don't win, great. I'm taking it to the crib. But I'm so great, it doesn't really matter, because I could just roll out here and get chips, and it's light work. So I think that's where it is that's different, because, you know, it's a different type of energy, because he clearly just doesn't give a fuck. Let me see. The Jokic brothers are dancing. They got some Johns in there. Okay. I'll let y'all see the Jokic brothers trying to turn up. I won't play it because I'm sure there's some music there, but Michael Malone and the Jokic brothers are turning up, and the Serbian women, I'm assuming, are turning up with them. But let's see. Where's Jokic? Oh, Thomas Bryant, Laker legend. Laker legend. He wanted a larger role in Denver. He wanted to get traded away from LA because he didn't want to back up Anthony Davis, because he felt he should have been getting more minutes or sharing more minutes with Anthony Davis. He goes to Denver, never sees the floor at all, but gets a championship. Thomas Bryant, Laker legend. Jokic out here turning up. Everyone's dancing with him, taking photos. Where is that clip? Clutch points got to do a better job than this. This man doesn't want to be there. He finally broke a smile. That man does not want to be there. He wants to be back in Serbia with the horses, bruh. DeAndre Jordan turning up. Ish Smith, salute to him. Bruce Brown. Is this it? Oh, yeah. Let me get the settings right.
Okay. Now, and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade? When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home.
I need to go home.
Okay. No. No. No.
And the funny shit is, he's so powerful.
No.
If he really wanted to, he probably could get them to move the parade.
No. No. I need to go home. Okay.
And he said he's going to hit up the team owner to be like, yo, I need that PJ because I am going back home before I come back here for Thursday. So, dogs, he just doesn't want to be here. Cannot find a clip of him. All right, so we'll leave that alone for now. There's too much going on here. It's a lot of copyright stuff. Thomas in the chat, blue check boys need to chill. That's a big fact all day. Yeah, he doesn't want to be here, bro. So just you're saying Curry. That's when people say he is top 10 all time. Yeah, Curry is not that for me, but I get it. That's why people said Curry legacy was cemented when he won last year, and people said LeBron's legacy was cemented when he won in 2016. I don't know if LeBron needed the Cleveland one. It certainly was exciting theater, but I get the overall point. Is Jokic back at Serbia? That's a great question. Let's see if we can search. Jokic, Serbia, plane. He's going to ask Josh Kroenke for the team plane. Let's see. Can't play that. Can't play that. Yeah, this was the clip that went around, just him lackluster with the champagne because he doesn't want to be there. On Sundays, I have my horse racing. But I mean, so if he has to get home by Sunday, well, if it's Thursday here, they're already Friday, right? Because they're ahead of us, I believe. I don't know how far they're ahead of us. But if they're ahead of us, then okay. Sundays, he has horse racing. If the parade is Thursday, that's going to be an all-day and an all-night affair. So that means it's going to be Friday over there. So then that means if he recuperates and recovers by Friday, which is debatable depending on how hard they go, it's already going to be Saturday. Then you still got to fly. Yeah, someone that's flown to Europe a lot, I could see why he's pressed. He might need to get out of there right after the parade. I think Thursday night, Jokic is on the bird back to Serbia. Jerker likes basketball. He does love it. Dogs, he said it himself. Like, let's not put words in his mouth. This is a quote. Let's not put no words in his mouth. This is real. This is the realest shit he ever said. This shit is a job to him. So let's not put a narrative out there that doesn't need to be there. He's tall. He's good at it. His brothers hooped. They needed a way out. Jokic was the way out, or Nikola was the way out. He was the special one. Second round pick. He came over here. He got the bag. He got better. Like, let's not make it more than what it is. Man's literally said it. This is a job. He wants to go home. I'm not mad at this. I love the honesty, because there's a lot of hoopers that think this same way, but they know they can't say it because fans will fan. I love this. If more athletes were this transparent, I think fans would finally come down off that mental illness that is fandom. Because this shit is a job just like all of us got jobs. He wants to clock out and go home. Look, this is he's in a whole nother country speaking a second language where he's making the bulk of his money. This is like us going over to Asia and working over there. We would miss here terribly and couldn't wait to spin the block to come back here. Even though we're getting our bread over there and we could have a nice house and a nice lifestyle over there, we want to be back here. This is some foreign exchange shit for Nikola Jokic. I come over here to get the bread. If we win, great. If we don't win, still great. I'm still getting the bag. I'm going back home to Serbia with wifey and my kid. We don't need to put words in Nikola Jokic's mouth. He spit it. He spit his truth right here. Imagine, man, my boy wants to go horse racing. I mean, he could get there. He has to leave after the parade, though. He's out after the parade. Nah, bro, he just likes it. I don't know if he likes it. He probably likes winning. Again, if you don't like your job, he literally says nobody likes their job. Maybe they do. They are lying. Like, I think we need to stop putting words in his mouth. Imagine, man, that's why when Jokic got the MVP last year, he was with the horse. Yeah. He don't care about this shit, bro. It's a thing to do. It's a way, it's a means to an end. And that's okay. Sports is a lot of people's means to an end. You don't gotta love this shit to be good at this shit. You don't gotta love this shit to be great at this shit. The main thing is, are you nice? Are you good? Can you monetize? Nobody likes their job. Maybe they do. They're lying. All right, I'm not saying you're tripping. I'm just saying the man literally said it himself here. So I'm not trying to read between the lines here. When he speaks, he doesn't speak a lot. But when he speaks, because this is his second language, he speaks directly. This is not lost in translation. This is straight facts. There's no fluff. There's no circumstance. He's spitting it straight up. That's just me, though. All right. What else we got here? We did the Zion shit already. I mean, I felt this was a weird story. Lil Wayne contacted Skip or your man's Drip Bayless to connect with Ja so that he could mentor him in an effort to assist Ja. Ja and his camp never replied. I don't know what Lil Wayne thinks he can show Ja Morant. I just think it's just weird. There's a lot of jokes I can make there, but I just don't really care because I'm more interested in the suspension that will be handed down from Adam Silver to Ja Morant. I really don't care who's trying to mentor him. You know, they had the whole thing with Jalen Rose that said publicly he was going to try to whatever, be a mentor or whatever, and clearly that hasn't worked. So who cares? Spencer Dinwiddie was in China. I've seen some people play this and they got flags, so I will not play it. All right. Football before we wrap up out of here. Stephon Diggs. So, this is called Foreshadowing. Or backstory, actually. This is called context. In 2020, Buffalo traded for Stephon Diggs. They gave up a first, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. They paid him as the sixth most expensive wide receiver in the NFL. Last year, they signed him to an even larger $96 million deal. From 2020 to 2023, the Bills paid him $78.9 million straight cash, homie. The third most for any wide receiver in the NFL. This spring, they paid him over $16 million in bonus money. He still has the fifth largest wide receiver contract in the NFL in both total value and average value. Now, why am I giving you all of that? Because Stephon Diggs is not really trying to play football right now for the Buffalo Bills. So again, they gave up a first, a fifth, a first, fourth, fifth, a sixth. They gave him he was the sixth most expensive wide receiver in the league. They signed him to an even bigger deal, $96 million. In over 3 years, that cash value was $78.9 million, third most in the league. And they gave him $16 more million in bonus money. And his contract with this $96 million is still the fifth largest wide receiver contract in the NFL. And Mans is not in mandatory minicamp. But he is in Buffalo, according to his agent. He's been in Buffalo since yesterday morning, took his physical, met with the head coach and the GM the past 2 days. And the Pro Bowl wide receiver, quote, will be there for the entirety of the minicamp. That doesn't mean he will be playing in the minicamp. Just means he will be there for the minicamp. Oh, man, can't make it up. And Bills coach Sean McDermott told reporters that Stephon Diggs is not at mandatory minicamp, and said he is, quote, very concerned about it. Further reporting, it seems Diggs was there yesterday and there this morning. He left prior to the start of practice. So Mans is there. He's just not going to suit up and play. No need to practice. No need for any of that. I'm just going to do what I do, show up, shake some hands, kiss some babies, and keep it pushing. I mean, I don't know what people want from Stephon Diggs. His job is to make Josh Allen look better, and he's done a tremendous job at doing that, and he's been paid handsomely at doing that. However, if we go down the rabbit hole, let's see. I think it's a highlight. I'll just freeze it there. The last time the Bills saw Stephon Diggs, he was yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline of a playoff loss to the Bengals. Diggs signed a new deal last offseason, so skipping camp is more likely to do with the team than his contract. There could be issues in Buffalo with Stephon Diggs, because like any other true number one wide receiver, especially a wide receiver that has made Josh Allen look way better than what he was originally before Stephon Diggs got there, he wants to rock. Big surprise, a number one wide receiver wants to rock. And now Josh Allen has to deal at this level with someone who feels like, I have largely led you to be on the cover of Madden. I have largely contributed to people always putting you in the MVP conversation. I could be largely attributed you to getting that bag right after Mahomes when you got more guaranteed money than him. I'm the main reason for all of that. Give me the ball. And if y'all weren't with me, or some of y'all weren't with me during NFL season, I feel I have some personal rules when it comes to, the passing game. You're not a number one wide receiver. You're not a number one wide receiver if you're not getting 10 targets a game. And most of the time, Stephon Diggs was getting those 10 targets. But there were a few occasions, I believe, in this playoff game against the Bengals where he did not get 10 targets. And you know how I know he didn't get 10 targets? Because of the way that he acted on the sidelines. And that told me, oh, let me check the targets. Let me see how many targets he got. Let me just make sure. Schedule and results. Where is it? Bengals box score. Oh, he got his 10 targets. He got his 10 targets, but only 4 catches. So was he not open? Was he not open? This is not a good ratio. 10 targets, only 4 catches. And for 35 yards. Because this was a thing when it comes to Stephon Diggs. If we do game logs. Targets, right? So we want to highlight this, right? 9 targets, 10 targets. Cool. 10 targets, cool. 2 targets, huh? 9 targets, cool. 5 targets, huh? 9, cool. 15, great. 5, huh? 16, amazing. 10, great. 8, could do better. 13, great. 11, great. 6, huh? So there's a wee bit of an inconsistency here for a true number 1 wide receiver. Now, sure, game plans could be different. Defenses could force you to go away from your number 1 wide receiver, your number 1 target, yada, yada, yada. But I just go back to the source. And the source was this on the sidelines. So even though he got his 10 targets, it was only 4 receptions. So maybe in those 10 targets, he thought the ball could have been thrown better. Or maybe there were more targets he felt he should have got. Because clearly it was possible. He's had 15 and 16 targets in a game. 15 twice and 16 once. So clearly it's possible to force feed him. But against Cincinnati, in a game where they could not score the ball, only 10 targets. Thomas in the chat, I can agree. I don't like my job. His job pays a whole lot better. I mean, that's what it comes down to, bro. Like, I've definitely had jobs where I don't want to be there. I used to work 2 jobs and I didn't like neither one of them, but I did both them bitches every day. I didn't like either job I was going to, but I did them because that was what was needed at the time. So, I mean, it is what it is. Mans doesn't want to be here. So let's let him cook. Let him go take his trophy, his wife, his babies, his brothers, and go back to Serbia, bruh. Because that man don't want to be here, and that's fine. That man don't want to be here. He'll be back in Serbia. Nobody likes their job. Like, I defy you to find a more realer statement by any athlete ever. This is the realest shit. This is his Tupac, against all odds. This is the realest shit I ever wrote. This is the realest shit Nikola Jokic ever said. There's not that much more to it that I can give y'all on that. And I think that's where we'll tip up out of here. I got to make a move this evening, so I can't spend too much more time with y'all. But I definitely wanted to pull up, especially after, the Nuggets took care of business and clinched this chip here. And basketball season, as we know it, is over, but that only means we got the draft next week. And we got free agency starting July 1st. And all the drama that goes along with that. I agree, Thomas. I agree. Diggs wanted Allen to get him his targets. And I think as a number 1 wide receiver, That's what a lot of these, like, that's really what it comes down to. Even in the playoffs, like 10 targets is great. But who else was getting love in this game? Sometimes it's the disparity. Who else was getting targets in this game? Devin Singletary is getting check downs. Dawson Knox. I mean, that's a pretty bad disparity. Like, I should be getting more than just 2 more targets than Devin Singletary. Meanwhile, you got, all these weapons for your man's Joe Burrow. Chase only needed 8 targets to get his off. Hayden Hurst, 6 more targets. T. Higgins didn't even kill him that much because they didn't need to. Like, yeah, it's a lot going on in Buffalo because, again, he doesn't, as great as Stephon Diggs is, let's be clear with the age now, 29. He's still got some top tier years left. But if you're asking him to do it all by his lonesome, that's asking a lot. I mean, he's carried you as far as he can by himself. And I think they've done a piss poor job of surrounding him with extra help. They need another wide receiver. That's why they need to go out there and get DeAndre Hopkins. They should be on the front lines of trying to get DeAndre Hopkins and not let him go up there to the Patriots. But apparently that's where DeAndre Hopkins will be tomorrow and Thursday. He'll be up there with the Patriots. And that's kind of crazy when you see a team like this that needs another receiver, even though DeAndre Hopkins could be a diminished product. I mean, to me, he's better than what they got opposite Stephon Diggs right now. And that might be another reason why Stephon Diggs is like, yo, I'll show up, but I'm not putting on no pads. So I will leave y'all on that note. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Check out the content on the channel if you haven't already. If you're new here and you're enjoying the live stream, feel free to subscribe. The channel is growing. Looking forward to continue the growth on this channel, building up the content. There's some benchmarks that I'm going to be hitting pretty soon with some of the new updated YouTube guidelines. So I'm happy about that. I'll be able to share that with y'all soon, hopefully. But yeah, I'll be here again tomorrow. Be another quick stream tomorrow because I have some things to do tomorrow as well. But I could give y'all an hour and a half tomorrow. So come with your takes. We'll see what the timeline gives us for 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So for Timeline T, I am the Sandy Sandusme Jr. Peace.